represented. This is the man's molar. You can see the cusp is same 2, but here we can see cusp is what more shallow in nature. Okay, here cusp is what more vertical, more deep in nature. That is what more conical in nature. And that is about the molars, molar tools. Completed, right? So last we can write concluding remark about this. However, the dental formula or pattern, is same for both apes and mans. However, the dental formula or pattern is same for man and apes. Okay, and this is represented like this. Okay, this is the dental formula. Okay, 2123 by 2123 into 2. Okay. So here represents 2 represents what? Number of incisors. Okay, then we have canines. Okay, that. So this on one side, this on other side, into both up and down. Okay, so total how many teeth? 32. Okay, so it is same here. Okay, in apes what do we have? This is 2 incisors, this is 1 canine, this is 2 premolar and 3 molars. Okay, human also 2 incisors, 1 canine, 2 premolar and 3 molars are there. Sometimes the all teeth do not erupt, okay, in the mans, okay, because the requirement gradually, if we talk about in the course of evolution, 2 things are happening in dental pattern. One, the teeth are becoming shorter and shorter, smaller and smaller because of the cooking of the food that is happening. And second, also what is happening, the molars are getting lost, okay, because the need of molars are not that much in today's life. Okay, so gradually the number of molars will reduce in the future. So this is how we can compare. I think we have talked about all the things in the anatomy of comparative anatomy of man and apes. Huh? What? A biting force will be more, no? Obviously. Okay, biting force, because I told you that jaw muscle is stronger in which? Apes. Okay, so jaw muscle, what is the use of jaw muscle? For chewing. So that is. Now 2 point we can write about the culture also, because that is also where we have the differences. Okay, so cultural difference we can write. Cultural difference. So man has developed a culture. Man has developed culture largely due to increase in brain size, and linguistic capabilities. Increase in brain size and linguistic capability which also is observed in the facial expression, okay, or detailed facial expression, which also is observed in detailed facial expression of man. Detailed facial Concentration of man. On the apes, other hand, in the apes, on the other hand, culture is missing or has not developed. Culture is missing or has not developed. So this is what we have to study in the comparative anatomy of man and apes. So we can take a break. After that, we'll start with the next topic that we'll talk about is the hominization process. Okay, how the hominization process. So we can write this topic that will just start after the comparative anatomy and write about the skeletal changes. Okay, skeletal changes due to erect posture. Skeletal changes due to erect posture and its implications. Due to its erect posture and its implications. Okay, so that will start with after the break. Okay, so first we can try to understand how the bipedalism and erect posture developed in the humans. So the detailed explanation of this has been given by Napier and Washburn. Napier and Washburn. So as per Napier and Washburn, they said that during the Miocene period, okay, so first Napier and Washburn, they start and talk about Miocene period. Right, so we can write the sentence during the Miocene period, the earth witnessed severe drought. The earth witnessed severe drought. Right, now in drought, what will happen? The dense forests that were present, they will start to decline. Okay, they will start to disappear, and that is why the forest dwelling primates, they have no other option but to come out of the forest. So that is next one. Okay, this caused the primate living in forest. This caused primates living in forest to enter the plain or grasslands. Okay, to enter the plain and grassland. So basically, now their habitat is changing. Their habitat is what we can say is a very vast space. Earlier they had limited area of movement because of the presence of dense forest. So the habitat is changing, and now these primates have to navigate their way in the vast space. That is the next thing. Okay, so habitat change to a vast space, a wide space. A vast space or wide space. This necessitated several changes. This necessitated several changes. First change we can write. What is the first change? First change, need of wider view of the surrounding. Need of wider view of the surrounding. So the head position needed to be at higher levels than before. So the head position needed to be at higher levels than before. Okay, that is only they can see over a larger area. Okay, that was not required before, because before they were tree dwelling. Okay, so they are sitting at the top of tree, they can see automatically at a much more large distance. Okay, any kind of threats are there, or a kind of food availability if they want to search for. So that is the first thing. Second point we can write, change in food availability. change in food availability, where they have to depend on seeds, where they have to depend on seeds which require continuous collection, with precision, precision because seeds are what, very very small, so you have very, what you can say, ape like hand. If you'll have, okay, it will be very difficult for the apes to pick something from the ground because hands are very large, and plus the rotation of the thumb is also not happening properly. So our hand is what, more suitable for picking even small stuff from the ground. So two things are changing. First of all, what is changing? The dietary pattern is changing, where they have to pick up the seeds with high degree of precision. Now if you want to pick up something continuously from the ground, earlier what was happening, all the four limbs were involved in walking, locomotion. So that is why it basically evolution happened in such a way that one or two limbs need to be free, or four limbs needed to be free, so that they can collect the food. Okay, they cannot be engaged anymore in continuous locomotion as well as collection of food. So then you can write this change in environment, brought evolutionary pressure. This change in environment brought evolutionary pressure as four limbs had to be free. As four limbs had to be free. Also, next one. Also, they had to migrate much more longer distance. Also, they had to migrate to much more longer distance in search of food. Okay, in search of food. Then last concluding one, due to these factors, bipedalism evolved. Due to these factors, bipedalism evolved as a locomotory pattern or locomotive pattern. Bipedalism evolved as a locomotive pattern as it requires lesser energy than quadrupedalism. As it requires lesser energy than quadrupedalism. Okay, if you have to walk a long distance, who will walk a longer distance? One who is walking on four limbs or two limbs? Okay, it is the two limbs. There you can spend less amount of energy in walking longer distance. In quadrupedalism, it is much more challenging task because all the four limbs are continuously working. Okay, so that is why, because of these changes that is happening in the environment, disappearance of forest, okay, change in the dietary pattern, need of collecting the seeds from or picking up the seeds from the ground, looking at a longer distances. So that is why you have erect posture and development of bipedalism. Now here one more theory is there that has been given, that the doubt is regarding bipedalism. What is the stages of evolution of bipedalism? Directly from quadrupedalism it has evolved, or directly from clinging that we have talked about, the brachiation that we discussed about, it has evolved. So there we have a theory, the stages of bipedal evolution. We can, the stages of bipedal evolution. Now this has been also explained by same Napier. So Napier has given this stage. So Napier said that initially all the primates were having locomotor pattern of vertical clinging and leaping. In the initial stage, on the first earliest stage, the main locomotor pattern was vertical clinging and leaping. Vertical clinging and leaping means what? They are clinging means what? They are this catching the branch, holding the branch, and they are hanging. That is called as clinging. And while hanging at the tree branch itself, they are jumping in the air and they are catching the other branch, again jumping in the air, again catching the next branch. So that is how they are moving from one tree to other tree or one place to other place. But all this motion is happening here, not on the ground. Everything is happening in the tree itself, or the branch of tree itself. So vertical clinging and leaping. In next stage, he said that clinging disappeared and we had only leaping. That means the primates were stationary on the tree. They were not hanging on the tree. They were sitting on the tree branches, jumping, going to the other tree branches, jumping, again going to the other tree branch. So from vertical clinging and leaping, in next stage, we have leaping. And this leaping, he said, is happening taking or using all the four limbs. Okay, so this leaping is via quadrupedalism. Okay, this leaping is happening using all the four limbs. So leaping via quadrupedalism, because initially in this case, what is happening? Only two limbs are being used. Two limbs that is used for hanging, they are jumping, again catching, again jumping, again catching. That means here this vertical clinging and leaping is which kind of locomotion? Bipedal. Here they are sitting on the tree branch, okay, and then they are jumping using all their four limbs. Then they are catching this because we have prehensile thumb, toe also and the hand also. They're catching the branches from all the four together, and that is how they are leaping without hanging on the branch. So leaping via quadrupedalism. Then they say we have quadrupedalism at ground because the tree disappeared, dense forest disappear, so there is nothing to leap on. So quadrupedalism on ground in the next stage. Quadrupedalism on ground developed. And from this quadrupedalism ground, finally, due to the changes that we have discussed before, you have evolution of bipedalism. So this is the four-stage evolution of bipedalism as given by Napier. Now here question was raised that this quadrupedalism that happened on the ground, was it same as that of gorillas, where they are specialized in what? Knuckle walking. Okay, so Napier said no, they have very specialized way of quadrupedalism. From there we did not have a bipedalism evolution. The quadrupedalism that we observed on ground was what? Kind of fist walking, okay, using all the four fists. Okay, fist means the surface of this. So this point we can bracket add here. The knuckle walking is a specialized, in the knuckle walking is a specialized locomotor pattern, specialized locomotor pattern, and was not found in human ancestors, and was not found in human ancestors. So that is about the bipedalism and erect posture. Now, skeletal changes already we have discussed. Okay, when you're talking about the comparative anatomy of man and man and ape, I told you that how or what kind of structural changes help in bipedalism. So same points we have to take from there and write. For example, what you'll write about the foramen magnum that has come to the bottom of the skull. Okay, we can talk about the shape and curvature of your spinal column. You'll talk about the pelvic girdle. Okay, you'll talk about the gluteus medius maximus. We'll talk about the femur angle. You'll talk about the shape of toe and all. Okay, so these are the changes that has happened due to what? Due to the bipedalism. Okay, so basically whatever change or difference is there between apes and man, all the differences are largely result of what? Bipedalism. So same thing, there you have made a comparison. Here you have to write only about what? About the skeleton of the skeletal system of the man. Okay, so that will be one. So you can write this point so you will remember. Okay, the skeletal changes are same as in comparative anatomy of man and ape. The skeletal changes are same as that in comparative anatomy of man and ape. Now we have to talk about the evolution that has happened due to bipedalism. So we have talked about the fossil evidences that we can start with. Okay, fossil evidences. So here we have to discuss about the first fossil evidences that we have found is of what? Australopithecus. Okay, Australopithecus sign you should write. Australopithecus is one of the example here. So first we can write is Australopithecus sign. We'll talk about Australopithecus sign. So we can write the introduction part. These are believed by many scholars. These are believed by many scholars as the first stage of hominid evolution. We have scholars the first stage of hominid first stage of hominid evolution, and also as the first bipedal organism, and also as first bipedal organism. Then next point we can write the fossil of Australopithecus. The fossil of Australopithecus was first discovered by Raymond Dart, a very important name, by Raymond Dart in the South Africa. by Raymond Dart in South Africa. Now this fossil was discovered in South Africa. The region where this was discovered is called as what? Tong. Okay, and the fossil later on was found to be a fossil of a child. So that is why the fossil is popularly called as what? Tong child. Okay, so the fossil was later named as Tong child. Tong child or Tong baby, as it is called. Tong child or Tong baby. Later on, to give it more scientific term, the fossil began to be called as Australopithecus africanus. That is the other name for the Tong child. The other name for the Tong child is Australopithecus africanus. Africanus. Clear? So that is the first fossil, okay, of Australopithecus. Then later on, lot of discovery was made, and the Australopithecus fossil was discovered from variety of places. So this map actually shows that overall two groups of Australopithecus fossil we can find. One is Africanus, that is Tong baby, Tong child, I told you. The second group of fossil, okay, I think that was given in the last. Other group is called as what? Australopithecus afarensis. Okay, so that also you can write. The second group of fossil, by the name of afarensis. Okay, Australopithecus afarensis. The second group of fossil by the name of Australopithecus afarensis was discovered by Donald Johnson. It was discovered by Donald Johnson in the Hadar Valley. In the Hadar Valley of Ethiopia. Hadar Valley is also called as Afar Valley. Both are same. So if you want, you can write this. So Hadar Valley or Afar Valley of Ethiopia. Ethiopia is in eastern part of Africa. Okay, in the Horn of Africa region. So Hadar or Afar Valley of Africa in 1974. In 1974. The first Africanus, you have written the year 1924. Okay, for the first one, Africanus, it was discovered in 1924. So almost 50 years later, you have a discovery of afarensis. This afarensis, later on, examination confirmed that it is a fossil of what? Female. Okay, and it was referred as what? Lucy. Okay, so that we can write. The fossil was of female and was named as Lucy. Okay, name Lucy came because when they discovered this fossil, the Donald Johnson, he was listening to the music of Beatles. Okay, and the Beatles have a very popular song where Lucy is the word. So that is why he named it as a Lucy. Okay, so that is. So that it was. So this is the basic. You can see these are the fragment of bones of the fossils that we have that they have found there. Okay, so this is the Lucy. So two major fossils. One is the Africanus. Other is the afarensis that have been discovered. So further research was done, and then we have several sites where you can see the distribution of Australopithecus names we can write. Okay, you can write a sentence. The other places where fossil have been discovered, the other places where fossil have been discovered are then we can write Africanus first. Okay, are for Africanus. Fossils of which we are talking about, Africanus. So these are the Tong. Already we have talked about Tong baby was discovered. Apart from that, two places you can write. It is maybe not clear, so I am writing. One is Sterkfontein. Apart from Tong, in the same South Africa itself, Sterkfontein. Then we have Makapansgat. The second place is Makapansgat. Right. Similarly, for Afarensis, a fossil was discovered from two other places in Ethiopia. One is Olduvai Gorge. It is in Tanzania, actually, not in Ethiopia. Olduvai Gorge. Apart from the Afar Valley, Olduvai Gorge and Lai Toli. That is where we have found the Afarensis, fossil of Afarensis. Okay, so three places for Africanus, three places for Afarensis. For Africanus, what do we have? Initially, or the first one was Tong, called as Tong baby 1924, then from Sterkfontein, then from Makapansgat. In the Africanus, first fossil is Lucy, discovered from Apar Valley in Ethiopia, then from Olduvai Gorge and Laetoli of Tanzania. Okay, so